Hi, Jared. Thank you so much for having me and us. My name is Silvia Tomas. I'm an international beer judge at competition like the World Beer Cup and founder Cerveceria, a project that began in 2003 with a vision of bringing together Peruvian gastronomy and specialty craft beers. I deeply admire your work,
Thank you.
your culinary approach to brewing, and the way you have positioned Muddy Tongue not only as an innovative brewery, but as world-class gastronomy experience. This interview is very special to me because I feel there are shared values in our visions. In eager to get to know more about your process, your history, and hopefully discover some common ground for the future.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm
Thank you.
really nervous, but it's okay. How did the idea of applying a culinary perspective to brewing first come to you?
So I began as a classically trained chef
Okay.
uh, in New York. I started out at the Culinary Institute of America, and I started to see the similarities between brewing and cooking. You're manipulating a raw ingredient with time and temperature,
Okay.
and ultimately you create something that makes people very happy. But with beer, you get to intoxicate them. And what chef would not want to intoxicate their guests? But I also saw a lot of the flavors and aromatics that I was experiencing in baking class and in cooking class, and I found them in beers. So whether it's cherries, if you're making a Belgian cherry beer, or whether it's framboise for raspberries, or black currants and cassis, these were all ingredients that we were either using as an ingredient to make different sorbets, or to complement dishes like lamb, like blackcurrant and lamb. So the more I explored beer, the more I saw the similarities between, brewing and cooking, and looked at beer as another extension of food. And a lot of the restaurants that I really admired in New York City, there was a shortage of beers on their menu. They had these incredible wine lists, like 500 plus bottles. When it came to beer, there was only like 5 beers. And all these restaurants, these fantastic Michelin restaurants, had the same beers. So I thought there was a big opportunity to bring delicious, great beer um, to fine food, to fine dining.
Yes, yes. Uh, you feel it's very difficult now to craft beer enter to the high gastronomy?
I think now it's it's easier than ever, and I think that because a lot of these great chefs, they're drinking beer at the end of their shifts.
Yes,
You know,
I
they
hear
they
that.
love. I mean, the chefs, they love beer, and there's just far more knowledge about beer. So these chefs know about German beer, English beer, Belgian beer, and um, and I think with that knowledge, there's more of an interest in bringing those beers to the menu. In addition to great wine, in addition to great cocktails, I think great menus need to be balanced with great beverages and great food. And so I
Yes.
think there's a big opportunity to what you're doing a fantastic job doing is bringing beer and food together. And it's nice to meet another like-minded brewer that cares just as much about the culinary arts as they do about beer.
What does the term culinary brewing mean to you today? And how has that concept evolved since the beginning?
Right. So culinary brewing, by definition, is taking a chef's mindset to highlight flavors and aromatics in balanced beer. And it's the same thing I was taught in kitchens, which is you want to source the absolute best ingredients. So the beer we're having here is a cassis, right?
Yes,
It's a
beautiful color.
thank you, Belgian lambic beer that showcases black currant. So you want to
Yes,
source the best black currant, and then you want to know where and when to incorporate this ingredient so that not only do you take care of the black currant, but you also take care of the beer. And ultimately, what we do is want to find balance with the ingredient within the beer so that the sum is better than the parts.
understand.
Yeah, it's really taking the lens of brewing and looking at it through the eyes of a chef.
Yes, I understand. Um, Jared, where does a new beer recipe usually begin for you, with an ingredient, a dish, or an emotion you want to evoke?
So for me, a lot of the inspiration for new beers have to do with an ingredient. We might fall in love with lychee.
And
Like,
lychee, I love lychee too.
same. And so we with those flavor profiles and aromatic profiles, we think that'd be perfect in an IPA. We're already seeing other tropical fruits like pineapple, mango, papaya. We think lychee would be an incredible complement. We're also inspired by a specific dish. So for this beer, I was inspired by this Australian white lamb. I think
Okay.
lamb and black currant.
Uh-huh.
The majority of the time, you're seeing that pairing happen on the plate. But what we're doing is we're showcasing the black currant ingredient in the glass,
Yeah.
and we're having the lamb on the plate, and ultimately the two together complement each other.
Yes.
Or a lot of times it's seasonality.
Yes.
We're in the beginning of spring. We're about to get into summer. We want to be drinking lighter because it's starting to get hot outside.
Understand. And I love the glasses, the type of glasses,
Thank you.
and where you see in the table, it's elevated the beer.
Thank you.
That's incredible. Jared, what has been the most challenging food pairing you have created, and which one do you remember with the most emotion?
Like I can talk about, I think every pairing, I think I'm emotionally attached to it.
Okay.
Because if you're going to share your pairing with your guest, ultimately you want your guest to be happy. I think that's a big portion of like why we do what we do is
Okay.
we like the smiles.
Yes.
We want people to turn to someone else and say, I never thought of bringing beer and food together or looking at an ingredient within beer, but I'm so happy I experienced this. But for me, going back to your other question about what has been most challenging when it comes to pairing,
Uh-huh.
I always think pairing IPAs with beer is very, very difficult.
I know. Me too. The bitterness, it's difficult, right? To pair in.
Yes, I agree with you. I think bitterness is sometimes difficult. It's not sweet. It's not salty.
Yeah.
It doesn't showcase umami. It's bitter. But I think in addition to that, IPAs are almost a meal on their own. Like there's so much flavor, so much aromatic, there's so much bitterness. I almost feel like that's its own course. And so if you're going to pair that with a food, it really has to have a food that it complements. And with the exception of, I think like a caramel cheesecake and IPA actually work really, really well together.
Yes.
Because like the bitterness and the hops cut right through the richness of the cheese. Or if you're using IPA with just cheese, I think it works really well. But when you're incorporating other dishes, whether that's duck or steak or ceviche, those flavors are so delicate. The IPA sometimes overwhelms it. Now, there's many different types of IPAs. This is just my experience, but that's where I found the most challenge.
Yes, sometimes I pair in session IPA because a session IPA is low bitterness, and I make this beer with low bitterness, and pairing with some seafood, but it's difficult. It's a challenge. Well, Jared, you have best important recognitions. And what was the hardest part of earning Michelin recognition? How did you manage to get the gastronomy world to take a brewery seriously?
We were fortunate enough to be recognized for a Michelin star
Yes.
our very first year of opening.
It is 2021, right?
Yep. And then at 22, 23.
And this year?
And this year, 24, 25.
Is it 4 stars?
I think so, yeah. I think that's where we're at. And we're very fortunate. I think from the very beginning, this was our goal. Our goal was to showcase beautiful beer next to beautiful food. My background has been working at Michelin star restaurants.
Yeah.
So for me, this is something I've always wanted to work towards. But I think we were able to get there because we have a really balanced team. We have chefs incredibly talented that are focused and really, really care about their ingredients and their dishes. We have brewers who are very talented and very focused on working with the chefs and creating beers that balance food. And we're fortunate that the chefs love beer just as much as they love food.
Yes, that's very important.
It's very, very important.
Yes.
And so there's really good communication between the brewers and the chefs. We break down the wall between the kitchen and the brewery. And when you work that close together and you both have the same passion for beer and food, you're able to come up with really, really beautiful pairings. Now, I think a big part of that is also presentation. You mentioned the glassware before. I think as brewers, we make absolute delicious beers. And a lot of times, we want to put it in the most beautiful home. We work so hard to make something delicious. Why not put it in something really beautiful? When you explore different types of glassware, people look at beer differently. They'll take
Yes.
the beer, they'll swirl it, they'll smell it. It's almost like they care for it a little bit more. And it's fun. It's fun. At the end of
It's
the day,
pretty fun.
it's really fun. This is presentation. And I think dining and fine dining and really dining in general, we eat with our eyes and we drink with our eyes.
Uh-huh.
And so whether it's beautiful plateware, beautiful food, beautiful beer, and beautiful glassware, they all work together.
Yes. It's balance.
Balance. That's it. That's
Yes.
our focus. You nailed it. That's it. At the end of the day, we just try to create balanced beer and balanced
Balance
food
food.
with great service.
I think it's a very hard work because only the brewery is hard, it's difficult. The gastronomy it's too hard too. How do you feel with this work? You love obviously.
I love this.
Yeah.
I think it's hard work, but it's our work. And when you love something
Yes.
and you have big goals and you're excited to share it, it's not easy, but it's fun.
It's fun.
Yeah, and I think there's just something about it that's really fun. And you try to surround yourself with people
Uh-huh.
that also want to work that hard and where their goals and their standards are that high. And then you feel like, wow, I'm on a really great team.
Yes.
And I don't want to let anyone down, so I'm going to work a little bit harder.
Yes, yes, yes. That's incredible. That's incredible, Jared. Jared, what did you discover about how beer behaves when it's the main character in a fine dining tasting menu?
I think beer can be the supporting cast or the center of attention. And I think understanding or being willing to accept that beer can share space
Yes.
with the guest so that you're not always putting beer first. Sometimes beer comes second, sometimes beer comes third.
Okay.
It's all about, like you said before, finding balance.
Okay.
So for me, I'll start with the dish, taste the dish, and then try to find the place for beer.
Okay.
But I think it's about sharing culinary space with
Yeah.
food.
Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. Jared, what advice would you give to someone in Latin America who dreams of creating world-class gastronomic experience through beer?
My advice is surround yourself with talented people. Like go out and meet people that want to make the most delicious food and try to work with them or learn from them or spend time with them. And do the exact same thing with beer. And do the exact same thing with service, because a great brew pub restaurant,
Yes.
all of them are tied together. And if you surround yourself with people that all have the same goals and with the same quality, then you're going to be very happy with the finished product.
Great, great, Jared. Well, talk about to the team and culture and training. How do you share your vision with your team? What kind of education or mindset do you look for in your collaborators? Chef, brewers, or attending in the table? What is how is your share your vision?
Education. I
Okay.
think everything starts with education. When you can empower your team members with the education of the beer style, the education of the ingredient, the
Okay.
education of the food and how the food is created, then people are empowered with that information
Okay.
and they can learn from it and they can grow from it. But I think it has a lot to do with sharing knowledge. And for me, I always say I'm a student for life,
Okay.
right? I'm here to learn from other people.
Yes.
Like I'm happy to teach, but I'm more excited about learning. So the chef is going to be teaching me a lot of new things.
Okay.
The brewers with all the new techniques that are out there, I'm learning from them. Especially as hops change, as malt changes, as
New
technique
yeast.
changes. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. New yeast. And from our service professionals, everything is evolving and improving. So as a student, I'm just trying to keep up and learn as much as possible from the rest of my team.
Great. And you, the teaching class maybe or the sharing knowledge is every week, every day, briefing in the morning, in the afternoon, or once a month,
Every day.
every day.
Every day, someone is
Okay.
teaching and someone's learning.
Okay. Wow, that's very interesting.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you.
What type of profiles or personalities do you enjoy working with, and why?
I like people that are kind. I
Uh-huh.
like people that are good listeners. I
Yeah.
like people that have high goals and are ambitious.
Yeah.
Um, and I like people that have fun. And I think it's a really combination because you know it's nice when you enjoy the people you work with,
Yes.
and I think it's nice when you all have the same goals. And ultimately, it's fun when we're one big team going in the same direction.
Great. I understand you.
Thank you.
um, Jared, how have you managed to expand to new cities without losing the soul of Moody Tongue? Because Moody Tongue have a sushi, Moody Tongue, right?
In
And
New York.
pizza. New
In New
York.
York. Yeah.
Both is in New York.
Both are in New York, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And we have one in Florida.
And one in Florida, right?
Yeah. So we work with great people.
Okay.
It's you surround yourself with good people, hire great chefs, um, and make sure that you talk a lot, you communicate. And so that you're tasting every day, you're talking about what you're tasting every day, you're working on your pairings,
Yeah.
because there's always an opportunity for improvement.
Mm-hmm.
I think that comes with good communication.
Okay. Understand. Um, Talking about Latin America and the future,
Yeah.
how do you view the gastronomy and brewing potential of Latin America?
I think infinite. The food in Latin America is incredible. There's so much flavor. You have access to ingredients that nobody can get anywhere else in the world. And so your educators in sharing these new ingredients and being able to weave them within beer recipes is so exciting. And because there's such a strong knowledge of the ingredients, you're able to pair them with food that otherwise nobody else can do in the world. So
Yes.
I'm excited to experience. It's just another reason to come down and travel and taste
Yes.
and then talk about it. And then hopefully inspired and bring something back somewhere else. And I think that's the wonderful thing about travel and meeting new brewers
Yes.
and tasting new beers is that you take a little bit and come home and try to incorporate in what you do. So I think it's wonderful.
So each country have unique products. Argentina, Colombia, Costa Rica, Peru, Ecuador, Bolivia, Chile. People and brewers and chefs to hear now this interview. The potential is very high. It's very high. Confía, trust to your products, trust to your knowledge, and work a lot to do to this. Jared, have you ever had any connection with Latin American chefs, brewers, or ingredients?
So when I was in brewing school in Chicago, we had a lot of Brazilian brewers.
Okay.
They came through and obviously introduced me to their cuisine, but also their passion for brewing and beer.
Mhm.
And I have been to Peru, and the culinary arts there is exceptional.
You goes to Central,
I
right?
have, yes,
Yeah.
incredible. Um,
What's your experience?
well, the service was unbelievable. Like
Okay.
the plating, beautiful. The food's so well balanced, and the incorporation of ingredients is just unbelievable. Like overall, just lovely experience. And for me, just having this conversation is pushing me to go travel down there more, to reach out to more brewers and restaurateurs. And I hope they feel the same way, that they can come to Chicago, spend time with me in the brewery, taste our food, taste our beer, because you have a friend here. Like you have a friend in Chicago that loves beer, that loves food. Please reach out to me, like either through Instagram. My email is jared@moodytongue.com. You can see I love talking about beer and food and
Thank you.
pairing, and please use me as a resource.
Thank you so much, Jared. And Peru is you is welcome to Peru.
Thank you.
Please, we talk about this now. The last question is, Will you be interested in exploring a future collaboration with Latin American brewery that also values pairing, identity, and emotional storytelling?
100% yes. Yes,
Perfect.
I'm waiting for the invitation.
And Jared, if today you had to start over with just one kettle and one idea, what kind of beer would you brew and what story would you want it to tell?
Great question. For me, I do a Pilsner.
Okay.
It's the hardest beer style to
Great shot.
create.
Great
You
choice.
can't hide a flaw. It's not hoppy. It's not barrel aged. It's not sour. It's either right or it's wrong. And I think from that Pilsner, I could add layers of flavor, other ingredients in there.
Okay.
And that would allow me to showcase really culinary brewing and the incorporation of ingredients that I'm passionate about.
Great. Incredible. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Jared.
My pleasure.
Thank you. This conversation has truly sparked something in me. On our path in Peru, we have always believed that beer can move people just as much as well-crafted dish. But hearing you speak, understanding how you build from emotion, technique, and curiosity has opened up new ways of thinking. You have no idea how much I value this exchange. Thanks for your time. I love for this interview to be just the beginning. Because when visions align, oceans feel smaller. I truly hope that someday we can create something together, whether it's a beer or an experience that brings our perspective on flavor, memory, and pleasure into on shared moment. And bueno, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Cheers with
Salud.
Cassis, no? And cheers for the people community in Latin America.